bite-sized progress, like for my fitness goals, where I'm strengthening my quads daily by slowing way down each time I sit down. Did you reach your goals last year? I didn't. In fact, I didn't accomplish much at all. It was my first year of retirement, and I was incredibly focused on wellness. But by the end of the year, I realized that taking great care of myself was crowding out progress on the things that I wanted to accomplish. I still wanted to prioritize my health and my relationships. So now I'm leaning into what I'm calling feel good progress. And today I'll share the ways that I'm making this happen. The first thing I did was to take a really good look at how I was using my time. And I know this will look different for everyone, but here's a couple of things that I noticed for me when I sat back and I really reflected on this. For one thing, a good part of my days were focused on food. I was making multiple trips to the grocery store during the week. I was baking sourdough regularly, which was a lot of fun. I was making bone broth and making most of my meals from scratch. The other big chunk of my time was related to things like workouts and walking and self-care activities like meditation and journaling. And while none of this was bad, it just left little time for getting things done. So I realized I need to create time for progress as well. Progress not at the expense of wellness though. So the second thing I did was really brainstorm, how can I simplify and batch to get the same results but with less effort? So here's a couple things I'm doing differently. Last year, it really wasn't uncommon for me to be flipping through my cookbooks or scrolling on the internet looking for good recipes many of the days of the week. And now I am making a loose plan for meals once a week, which is saving me time, and it's allowing me just to make one trip to the grocery store instead of several. You may want to ask yourself, the question, what activities am I doing that I can do all at once in one batch? Now, with respect to simplifying, my journaling time is a perfect example of this. I've cut my journaling time significantly. Now, I know this might not sound like the best place to cut time, but let me explain. I primarily use my journal as a tool to help me be really intentional with my time, as well as to cultivate positivity. Now, on a side note, I heard about a study recently about superagers, people in their mid-80s that are really healthy. And one of the things that they all had in common was that they tended to be remarkably upbeat. So I really do think working on positivity is important. Anyway, I used to spend probably 30 to 45 minutes each morning planning and using this as my positivity time. So by moving my gratitude practice on my journaling to the evening and really simplifying the text in the intentions in my journal, it gave me back a good 30 minutes of time each morning without losing the intention work that I'm doing and the positivity. So here's a look at some of the journaling pages that I used last year compared to what I have set up for this year. Now, the third thing I'm doing is looking for ways that I can make bite-sized progress. One of the places I really want to make serious progress this year is on strengthening my legs and my bones. I really want to ski again. And I've got some pretty intense hikes I'd like to take on too. So I really think fitness is a great place for bite-sized progress by doing little exercise snacks. I mentioned to you at the beginning of the video that while I'm brushing my teeth, I'm focusing on balance by standing on one leg. And in addition, I also like to do some quick bone building heel drops while I'm doing things like waiting for the kettle to boil. And I can really tell that these sit to stands that I'm doing for building quad strength when I'm focusing on sitting down extra slow. And when I do this throughout the day, I know none of these feels like a workout, but I'm sure the results really do add up. In fact, I can feel it in my quads. And I'm doing it while I'm already doing something else. And I know that over time, they will lead to more progress when I combine them with my regular workouts. So the last thing I'm doing is increasing my focus on what I want to accomplish. I try to be really intentional with my time. And one of the ways that I do this and help to keep my attention on what I want to get done is by each evening writing down what I realistically think that I can accomplish that next day. And I make sure that a good piece of that time included is doing something for my big goals for the year. And I'm finding this really helpful by helping me make the choices of how I spend my time each day. It means that I'm spending less time during the week baking and I'm eating more simply, which likely is more healthy as well. I do keep my journal nearby throughout the day and I refer back to it kind of often to keep me focused on these top priorities. And I'm finding that this is helping me resist the urge to quickly look at something in my phone like the news or scrolling, which never ends up being just a quick minute. It's always then a 20-minute interval of time that you've lost. And what I'm realizing is with all these things, progress doesn't really require me to hurry or overextend myself to make it happen. I want to enjoy a comfortable pace for my days, but I also don't want to look back and find that the time just went and I didn't get done what I wanted to get done. So feel good progress to me is taking care and focusing on what matters, my health, my relationships, having a good time, having fun, but creating enough structure to simply be able to move forward with respect to the things that I care about at the same time. Now, if all this is resonating with you, I want to just give you a really quick recap so you can get started as well. First thing, take an assessment of how you're currently using your time. Secondly, brainstorm for ways to simplify and then batch the activities you're doing. 3, do things to make bite-sized progress. And 4th, find ways to really increase your focus. And just remember, you don't need a complete life overhaul to make progress in your life. Sometimes you just need a few small shifts done with intention and consistently. And that will help you create a life that feels both nourishing as well as forward moving. Thanks for watching.